So we need an opening prayer and a spiritual thought.
I can do the prayer, if that's okay.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
Okay. Our Heavenly Father, we are grateful to be able to meet together as a group. We pray that they'll help us to learn and benefit from this case, that we can learn how to apply it into our lives and our careers and any future businesses. We pray that they'll help us to help each other to learn and to apply the principles of UAU Idaho into our learning. And these things we ask and pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, Matt. So anybody have any spiritual thoughts to share this week?
We had state conference. We have a thought that I could share.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we had it was our Area 70. His name was Elder Corbridge, came and spoke to us. So that was cool. But he was talking to us about like how people have doctrinal questions about the church. You know, like some of the things as far as. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's like on my end, but I can still hear you.
As far as like you know, people have questions sometimes as far as like polygamy or some of the different issues that we had in the past, blacks in the priesthood. And he was talking about the different issues that come up that people struggle with, and he was talking about how they're all secondary issues, but that really if we focused on the Savior and developing a testimony of the atonement and of the Book of Mormon and things like that, the Spirit would be strong enough in our lives that it would kind of clear up the other things for us, so that when those questions arose, that we would be able to decipher them through the Spirit. And so instead of getting caught up in the secondary issues, we should focus primarily on the things that matter most, and then those other things will kind of work themselves out, or the Spirit will be able to work them out for us. So I thought that was cool.
I think I've heard that before. Like when you work on people, like trying to reactivate them, like you kind of need to ask them, like, well, why'd you join the church? And you remind them about the baptism and remind them about like what they felt, and kind of remind them about the key, you know, the basics of the gospel, and they end up, you know, reactivating themselves in theory.
Yeah. Yeah, the important stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool. Got to remember what's most important.
Yeah. So anyways, we also had a mouse that ran through the chapel while he was speaking. It ran up the back wall. That was kind of exciting.
Were there women screaming?
Yeah, because there's a choir, like our state choir was up there, so everyone was like jumping, like lifting their feet up, and everyone's like, what's going on? And then you could see this poor little mouse like run up the back wall trying to get away with everyone, and then a member of our state presidency got up to the trash can and was trying to catch it. It was pretty funny.
Oh my gosh.
I think the young men in another ward that meet after us, they forgot to clean up the bread from sacrament, so this little mouse came in and was just like, I guess, just made a little family, and it just got kind of crazy. But
well, it's a little church mouse, of course.
Yeah, a little church mouse.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
We can also understand, like, you know, like having a guest speaker. I mean, you want to be on your best behavior and everything, so the state president's probably just like, oh no, oh no, oh no.
I know, so funny.
Oh my gosh. I can only imagine.
Yeah, they were posting on our stake Facebook page and everything, videos of the mouse running up the wall. It was pretty cool.
Which also relates to the whole idea of how you're not supposed to be like taking videos in the chapel and like.
I know, that's true, huh? I didn't think about that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow.
What do you use your cell phone for? Well, you use it for taking funny videos in church, of course. You know,
Yeah,
scriptures or anything else.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But does your stake actually fit at the church, at the stake center?
No, ours doesn't. Yeah, it's too big, so we borrow another one, and then they're trying to get us another one built. So actually, he's like, "Oh, I see you guys are trying to get a new stake center," and he planted a mouse to try to drive the point home.
You're trying to expedite the process.
Yeah.
At least he had a good, you know, good humor about it. That's funny.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Well, good. But so, well, I mean, it was probably trying to keep everybody awake. Also, like everybody's awake now. Everybody's involved.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because I went on for like 5 minutes trying to get the mouse, and then he's in their pulpit, and he's like, "Well, can't recover from that." Then he just bore his testimony and sat down, and then we had a closing hymn, and that was it.
Really?
Yeah. Which,
Was
I mean,
it
it's
close to
true.
being
I
over,
back for
or
my
like?
mouse, it was like chaos.
Was it close to being over, or?
Yeah, it was probably 10, 15 minutes from being over. So.
Okay, so it's not like it ruined the spirit in the middle of it, and you guys were like, okay, we're going home early.
Yeah, it wasn't like 12 minutes in a state conference. He's like, well, let's wrap it up. No, it was actually the adult session the night before on like Saturday night, but it was,
Okay, that's even better.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Good story. Okay, we'll move on to the case.
Oh.
We'll have to tell Jesse and Becca that they missed the story of the mouse. So, let's see here. Okay, so the first question is that we need to vote. It says vote individually. Should David Vivero raise money now? Yes or no? So I guess who says that he should not?
I would say that he should not.
Okay. Anybody else? I say that he should, yes. What do you think?
Too.
Okay. So if yes, what should he do with the money? You want to go first, Katie?
Sure. I mean, I think he should use it just to basically keep growing and expanding and really kind of set himself up so the competition doesn't take him over. Because that was part of my main reasoning for saying take the money right now, was because this new competitor has just come into play. And my worry is that they'll kind of grow faster than he can get into. What it was certain type of, like the landlord part of his company or something, wasn't it? That the competition was.
Yeah, the competition was targeting landlords.
Yeah, and he said they've had this in the works for a while, but they've been so busy trying to do other things that they haven't focused on it. And so I think if he could get the funds and be good with that, and then have those, so he can keep growing and focusing on the landlord side, then he can maybe either knock the competition out or even just keep his status as, I don't know, just so that the competition doesn't overtake him. And that was just my biggest concern.
That was also my thought, is that, I mean, if he had more funding, he'd be able to actually get the stuff done that he needed to, wherever they needed to hire more salespeople, but they were kind of debating between, how many salespeople they actually needed. Or I also had the idea of, if they've found out about this other company, that means that other company has been active enough to get back to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like when a company's starting out, like not many people know about them, and like not even other companies usually know about them. But if they've already become like an obvious competition, like it's hard to gauge like how big they already are. And so I was thinking that if he's already knows about this competition and they're already trying to target the market that they've slacked on fulfilling, then I felt like they needed the money so they could actually try and develop that quicker. Whereas if they did it organically, just trying to fund themselves, they might be hindered in that spot. Which they could easily be hindered in that spot with or without the money, but at least they, at least probably try and give it a better try, just because they have the means to grow faster. So that was my yes. So the next one is, if no, why not? So your turn, Matt.
So the reason I did not is I didn't see like what they were going to spend the money on. I know they're building that app. I didn't see like a plan as far as they need X amount of money to do it. So I feel like they would have a lot of money and have a lot of ways to probably spend it, but it maybe wouldn't be well spent. And I feel like there's not a lot of stuff they need to fix the business. Like their sales efforts are really sloppy. Like they're trying to figure that out still, as far as senior and junior sales associates or analysts, I guess they call them.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like they haven't figured that out, and they don't really quite understand their business model yet. It seems like they're transitioning to this new like app or whatever it was. And so it just seems like it could be kind of dangerous to give somebody, you know, whatever it was, $5 million when they don't really have a plan in place to use it. Because I think it says recently they were given like $800,000 or $600,000. They only used a percentage of it and didn't really have a plan for the rest. So it just seems like it put a lot of pressure and stress on the business to spend all this money when they don't really have a need or a plan yet to do it. So
That's a good point.
That's a good point, yeah.
Well, it says here that we need to read page 7 where it starts, I tried to raise funds, and it ends with the conversion funnel. So page 7. I tried to raise funds from Sand Hill Road venture capitalists, the VCs, in October and November. They liked our team and our idea, but they told me to come back when I had proved the model in more than one city, demonstrated lifetime customer value, well in excess of average customer acquisition costs, and had reliable data on my sales cycle and conversion funnel. So we read that. Now what do we need to do next? So why do investors care about customer lifetime value, customer acquisition costs, and sales conversion data? Any thoughts?
I think just referring back to the last case that we read, how their customer acquisition costs and all that, they were so high that they ended up just, they were losing money on everything because it took so much money for them to acquire a customer that by the time they did, it kind of almost wasn't worth it. So I'm sure that investors, you know, want it to be worth it.
mm-hmm.
Any thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, I kind of think the same thing too. They just want to see how, like, if they're going to invest in a company, they want to know how their money's going to be spent and make sure it's like efficient. You know, if the company hasn't figured out a way to effectively acquire and manage customers and have a good like revenue stream, then I think they would feel really like scared to give that company money. You know, if it's going to be poorly used. So that's why I would think they want to know those things.
So I went online and asked my study buddy of like what all these different acronyms were and like what the formulas were to try and get them figured out. And I came across this really good website that basically had like this infograph that had like all these different details in it and like how to calculate all this stuff and why is it important and all these other things. And I just kind of plugged that into my write-up because I was like, they explain it a whole lot clearer than I can, and it makes a whole lot of sense. But one of the things that it was saying on there is that customer lifetime value actually grows the longer they are there. And so it was talking about, you know, if you're focused on getting a customer for right now, say every time the customer interacts with your company, you get $50. Let's just say. So you come and I purchase whatever I need from you, and you know you get $50. Well, great. You know you got $50. You may not even had to spend very much. Like say it only took you $25 or so to get me as a customer, whether that be through you know all the marketing that you had to do or whatever. So you're making like a $25 profit. You know, like so your conversion rate is like 50%. You can say that. No, that's wrong. But that would be if you talk to two people and you got me. That's your conversion rate. But so say you so you get that. But if you're focused on having like a lifetime customer, you know, I'm gonna come back, and I'm actually as a lifetime customer, I'm probably gonna bring more people with me. So say for example, the most interesting thing I found recently, let's say you're selling water machines. Okay. So it's like a special ionized water machine. Okay. So you come, you do the presentation, and I, you've gone to networking meetings, you've done your things, and I happen to be watching and seeing a bunch of this going on. Okay. You haven't really been spending any money at the luncheons or anything you've been going to. So your cost to get customers is really low, but I end up coming to one of your presentations. Well, I end up bringing, maybe I purchase a machine, but then I end up coming to another presentation, and because I've loved it, because you're working on me being a lifetime customer, I end up bringing 4 other people with me, and then they end up loving it, and so my value as a customer has gone up because now I'm bringing you business. Like I'm now becoming your cheerleader, being like, hey, you have to come and try this. Mm-hmm. So I become your marketing person, but you're not paying me. But I end up going and bringing up the people and having them, maybe they come and try my water machine. And so now I'm introducing them, introducing them to your product, but you're not doing it. I'm the one that's doing it. And so my value as a customer ends up going up and providing more value to the company the longer I'm involved. So even though it costs you to acquire me, it may have cost you kind of little, or if you're trying to, maybe spend more to acquire more valuable customers, you have to kind of, balance that out to figure out what might be, the exactly right amount. So, because you can spend very little on acquiring customers, but you might get like a short-term customer. Like I might only come and buy one product from you, or, especially if you have a whole arrangement of stuff, I might only want this one thing. Like I might only come to you for like a filter for my machine, mm-hmm. but I don't want multiple machines or something like that. That's my best example right now. But if I end up bringing, more people to you, or maybe I have a bad experience. So maybe I purchased my machine, but now I have to buy a new filter. But I'm like, how the heck do I get a new filter for my machine? I'm so frustrated with it. I can't figure it out. And so I call and then getting like a bad customer service person that doesn't explain anything to me. They're very snippy. And I'm like, forget it. I'm done with my machine. I'm never going to use it again. So now I'm upset. And so it talked about, having good customer service is involved there on maintaining your customers, so that they continue to bring business back to you, or they come back to you to get other stuff. Because what if my machine breaks and I can't use it anymore? Well, I'm going to be a lifetime customer, because I'm going to come back and be like, well, I need to fix my machine. Or if it's not fixable, well, I might just purchase a new one. So it was this whole website talking all about the importance of that, and that investors, they want to see some sort of proof of that, because then they know if your company has a good business model, and if it's a really viable product, especially if you're a product-based versus a service-based company. Like from those figures, they can actually tell how valuable your company is going to be in the long run, versus just, maybe you grow your company for 10 years and then it gets sold off to somebody else type thing. So that's my little blurb. That's all I got. So what about sales conversion data? Did you guys look into any of that?
Let's see. On page 7, is that their sales conversion data down at those bullet points?
Well, that was kind of that's their funnel. So they say that if they contact 100 people, all 100 people are gonna work their way through the funnel, and they're gonna get 2 customers, two people that actually subscribe. So that would be basically a 2% conversion rate.
Which is not very good.
If I call 100 people and 2 people buy my product, that's a 2% conversion rate. Yes. Yeah. Okay. My husband's in sales, so I had to make, ask him, and he's like, "Yep, that's right." So 2% out of everybody you call at this point in time is who's going to actually jump on to the RentJuice bandwagon.
I mean, right? Even though they're not that big, that's really not a very good conversion rate, is it?
Probably not. I mean, you'd always want your conversion rate to be higher.
Yeah, well, and it seems like due to that funnel, that their cost per acquiring each customer would be more because they have to take all that time and all that, energy and effort to contact all those 100 people, and all out of all that time, and they're paying people, they only get 2 subscribers.
Yeah. I see it as positive and negative. I mean, it's negative as in like what you're talking about. It costs them time and money because they're paying all these salespeople to make all those 100 calls.
Mm-hmm.
So it costs a lot. However, they at least have some sort of figures now. So if they already know their numbers, now they have some way of knowing, if we want to get if we want to get 4 customers, we know we're going to have to call 200 people. And so now they know all those junior all those junior people, they're just going to have junior people make calls after calls after calls. They don't really care, like they're concerned on how they're making calls and they want them to have good conversations, but they just know that they have to make tons of calls.
Mm-hmm.
At least in this form and at this point in time. So maybe as their product grows and if they've contacted enough people, their conversion rate might grow, but I think this is their starting point. So they at least have some sort of numbers to go off of. But that's the only positive I see from it, is that they have numbers.
Yeah. It's
They're not very good
dismal.
Yeah. They're not very good numbers, but at least they have some numbers. And so if they can get because when my husband worked, he worked for a time selling hearing aids. He would make 80 calls a day.
Mm. Wow.
And that was a slow day. Like he could easily make 100 calls in a day. But he wasn't also talking to every single person. But it would be like voicemails or something else like that. But
or they couldn't hear him.
Yeah. Well, no. Normally, his experience is that they could always hear them, and nobody needed his hearing aids because they gave him really bad leads. Kind of like how they were talking about in the case qualified leads. He did not get qualified leads, so he would probably be on the same level as like the junior people in this case. Like they had to do all the bottom work for all the seniors to get all the good sales and stuff. That's probably the situation at one of the places where he worked, and it really sucks being a junior person. So. Okay, what's the next one? Okay, so question number 4 is where we are, or point 4. So what is the customer lifetime value of a RentJuice customer? And we're going to be asked to report this in our post-discussion poll, so we need to make note of it or text one another later. So it says use the following assumptions. It says an annual churn is 38%, and then a monthly revenue. Huh?
The annual turn is 38%.
Yeah, it's not turn. It says CHURN. Yeah.
What is churn?
Churn. The only instance I know of churning is churning butter.
Okay. Well, that's
so it's probably converting one to another.
Okay. That might be it. Okay, maybe we can confirm that by asking our study buddy. Churn. Define churn in sales.
Define churn.
Church means
churn.
Sorry, my kids are all asleep. I'm gonna have some stuff. So.
Churn means a machine or container in which
nope, I found it.
Made by agitating milk or cream.
Nope, I found it. It says churn rate is a measure of customer or employee attrition and is defined as the number of customers who continue a service or employees who leave a company during a specified time period divided by the average total number of customers or employees over that same time period. Okay. It'd be nice on these websites if they give you like this whole formula that they actually have a calculator there. That'd be nice.
Oh, that would be nice.
So if I can plug in my numbers to what they're just saying, and so they can interpret what the heck they're saying.
This is for customer life value. Is that what
Yes.
Okay. See, I have a formula, but I got from Google, but I didn't see anything about churn rate. That's why I got confused.
Yeah, I'm looking at a formula too, and I just see what's AG the gross margin times, I think, the monthly revenue, possibly. Because it says transaction 1 plus transaction 2 plus transaction 3, and etc. times the gross margin. But
Okay, so we'll have to work that one out. Let me see.
So let's see here. So for example, churn rate has been an ongoing concern of telephone and cell phone services in areas where several companies compete to make it easy to transfer from one service to another.
Oh, I see that. I think this is kind of what you were both saying. So it says here's a simple formula. It's saying average monthly revenue per customer times gross margin per customer divided by monthly churn rate. Is that right?
That sounds good. That sounds a whole lot more simple than what they're trying to explain here.
Because I have it written down from another site, but it's totally different than what everyone else said. But this is from Wikipedia, so it must be right, right?
Of course.
Isn't that pretty close to what you said, Katie?
yeah, kind of. Mine just wanted me to like times two different things together. So.
Oh, okay.
But yours seems more legit because you have more of the bullet points that we are given us.
Let me see.
Now, are you calculating the churn or just the customer lifetime value?
I just Googled customer lifetime value.
Okay.
Yeah, because it says to use 38% churn rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we would just have to figure out the average monthly revenue per customer and the gross margin per customer and divide by 38%. I'll see if I can find that stuff while we're going through the stuff.
Let's see here. I'm going back to see if I can find my, what's it called, I found an infograph that walked me through how to do the calculations. Okay. Sorry, Matt, are you plugging in your numbers?
No, I'm just trying to figure it out. We can keep going through the questions so we don't get hung up. I know we're already kind of late, but I'll look while we go through the other stuff.
Okay.
Unless, yeah, I think it might take a little bit to figure out. I'm trying to. So yeah, we can keep going.
Okay. I was like, because the formula that I had did not have, like, it didn't use gross margin. It was using some like other stuff, and so it sounds like you have the most simple formula that actually relates to everything that we have here to plug in.
Yeah, and I don't know which one's right. I'm just.
Well, I don't know if we can really say that any of this is right because these are all assumptions anyways. So, okay. Well, number 5, so it says, how well is the sales funnel at RentJuice working? And what can you think of to improve it? Or how can we reduce the customer acquisition costs? Because I already said that it cost them a lot of time and money to acquire, 2 customers out of 100 calls.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, it's obviously not working very well.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, I thought they should eliminate the junior sales analyst. I think the way they have it structured is kind of ineffective. How they contact somebody, and then if they are willing to do it, they have the senior one contact them to do the web presentation. And then, it seems kind of like there's a lot of layers where, like, I think about on the mission, you don't go tracking and then someone says, yeah, I'd be interested to learn. You say, great, we'll tell senior missionaries and they'll come back and teach you in a week. Because in that week, they're probably going to change their mind. Instead, you teach them right then, and then, so.
That's true.
That's kind of what they're doing. Like, oh, great, you're interested? All right, well, we'll have someone call you in a couple days, and then that might go cold by then.
That is so true.
Well, I know that, like, I'm thinking back to, like, my husband's experience that he's told me about at one of his, like, last places that he worked in sales at this hearing aid place, but they were also really screwy. Like, I didn't think they had a smart business model in the slightest, but they did things really similar to this. So they had, because this company is new. It was like at the time. I mean, this is months ago, but it was like new to the Oklahoma area. They had just opened an area here and in Salt Lake, and it was like 3 months old in our area. And so they were just hiring people. Like, basically, if you breathed and you're willing to do sales, they pretty much are hiring everybody. That's kind of how he felt. He's like, the only reason I'm hired is because I actually called them and I followed through with their very, very simple process. Like on LinkedIn, you click apply. They didn't even ask you any questions. You just send in your resume, and then they sent you an email and said, if you want an immediate interview, call. And so he called and he got an interview. And, like, the interview was really short, straight to the point, and, like, he was in. And he was like, okay. But they supplied, so it's inside sales, which means he didn't have to go hunting for customers, but they supplied him with all these leads and he would just make calls. But the way that they were generating these leads was through multiple outlets, we're guessing. And a lot of the people that he ended up talking to either thought the hearing aids were free, they could hear, so they didn't even need hearing aids, had no idea how they got his phone number. They thought that he was, okay. They thought that he was actually calling to offer them a back brace. Has nothing to relate to hearing aids. And then some other just random, gift cards. That's what it was. Thought it was about a phone number for gift cards. So really, really horrible, like, experience. So my husband only had access to they had a bunch of lists, but he only had access to so many lists. Every one of those lists was just junk. Like the stuff I'm telling you about, just junk. But he had to try and somehow get lucky that he would actually talk to people that needed hearing aids and could pay for them.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, because even like most medical, like Medicaid wouldn't cover hearing aids in most states. And so he would have to, like, get super lucky that he'd have to talk to the right person. They could actually pay for it. Everything would go through. Because they'd even run these, like, risk checks. So even the risk check had to go through. So all this entire process just so that he could possibly get a sale. And if he actually got a sale, then his conversion rate would go up. But they didn't take into account all the junk that he was calling and dealing with. And so he started creating his own spreadsheet, and his percent conversion rate was a whole lot higher than theirs because he only took into account the viable, qualified people he was talking to. But as a brand new sales guy, he was qualifying all these leads pretty much. And so there was a huge turnover at the bottom level. Like pretty much everybody from his team ended up being fired, or fired or left or quit or something. But like every day there was somebody else leaving going, this is stupid. Why am I here going through this? Why, I mean, the pay was okay, but it was not worth it, you know, stuff like that. And I was like, well, he ended up, you know, being part of that same group of just going, this is stupid. We're not doing this anymore. And so I wonder if he ended up qualifying leads for the people that were higher than him that had been there longer to actually, you know, get those qualified customers.
Yeah.
But it was also really stupid. So, and it was a total waste. Like I was like, why are you wasting why are you wasting the money and the time and stuff like that? Because they would pay them really well, and they would pay them whether they got any sales or not. And so I'm like, that's kind of a waste of money on your end, but it's also a waste of time. And you also can't really tell, you know, what happens if you're actually letting go really good salespeople, but because you're giving them junk to call on and you're hoping that they get lucky, what if you're actually losing really good salespeople?
Yeah. That's crazy.
So I had the same thought about this. I was like, you know, because they said they had a high turnover. I'm like, are you actually losing, you know, your best people because they hadn't qualified the leads yet? But once they said they started qualifying people, it made more, like they started checking people's webs to see if they had a website and if they were actually, you know, how much time they probably spent on Craigslist and stuff like that. So once they started doing that, I'm pretty sure their conversion rate probably went up.
Yeah. Didn't waste so much time.
Yeah. Like if I'm trying to, like when my husband was calling to somebody and they can talk on the phone just fine and they don't need hearing aids, there's no way he's going to sell somebody hearing aids. He can talk to them on the phone. They're not saying what? Like they're not, you know, can you hear the TV just fine? Yeah, I don't need it. Why are you calling me? He's not going to convert them, but yet he can waste 10 minutes talking to them when there's 10 minutes there that he should be talking to somebody else. But I also had the thought about maybe they need to change their sales process because I noticed in there that they were doing consultative selling. Do you guys know what that means? Matt, do you have any idea what that is?
Oh, I was reading. I found the answer to that one question.
Oh, we can go back to that.
So on the top of page, what page is that? On the top of page 10, it gives us all the information we need to answer that equation. So the equation that I found, once again with the disclaimer that it's not like I figured it out on my own, I just Googled it, but it says average monthly revenue per customer times gross margin per customer divided by monthly churn rate. And so all that information is provided in the top, like two small paragraphs in the top of page 10. So their average monthly revenue per customer, it says RentJuice's customers average 5 agents per office and about $440 monthly revenue. So be $440. Their gross margin exceeded 75%, so I use that number. And then when we were given the 38%, it says their average or annual customer churn average 38. So we're given that number too. So I got 868.4 as their customer life value. I'm assuming that's in dollars, right? $868.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad number, but that's what I got.
68.
I don't know much about, I mean, besides what I told you about, but actually like interpreting like what it means. I wonder if customer lifetime value, if that's per year or if that's over the lifetime of them being a customer.
Mm-hmm.
That's my other, I mean, it just talks about the importance of it.
Hmm. Very interesting.
And so what was your formula again, Matt, to get that?
It said it would be average monthly revenue per customer multiplied by the gross margin per customer. And then once you have that number, you would divide it by the monthly churn rate. So it'd be the average monthly revenue per customer multiplied by the gross margin per customer, and then divided by the monthly churn rate.
Oh, okay. Average monthly value divided by gross margin. I return rate. Oh. That's interesting. Okay. Okay. So at one of my networking meetings, the people that have actually set up these networking meetings I attend, he actually does sales training. And so because he wanted his business to be scalable is whenever he started adding on this networking option. So at the networking events, like the very first 10 minutes or so, they actually do some sales training, like a little snippet of like the 2-hour class that you could go to if you went for like the full 12-week course. And so you get this little 10-minute snippet, like just basically a total watered down version. So you get a little sales training, and then we go on and do a bunch of other stuff. And in the sales training, a couple of weeks ago, he was talking about that it used to be the way that people would go in and sell is consultative selling. And what that means is they would go in and be like, I'm the consultant. You have no idea what's going on. You don't know what's best. I'm the expert. I know what's best. And so you need to listen to me because I'm the expert. And it used to be like that. I mean, that's the old, they call it old school sales. That's really how it used to be. And since then, and I mean, the past, I don't know, 5-10 years, it's changed a whole lot. Where people start realizing that, people don't want to be told what to do. And that's not the best way to sell. And so now there's this whole thing coming out of doing permission-based selling, where they kind of go in and they almost get permission to ask certain questions. So they'd be like, well, if you don't mind me asking, and then they ask you your question, that's more permission-based selling. And also not trying to, and they call it like low pressure sales. That's also supposed to be like more permission-based instead of I'm the consultant, and so I'm telling you this is how it needs to be type thing.
Yeah.
So like my husband's been in lots of sales. So my husband's way or preferred way of selling is permission-based. He's also gone through this training, and so and he really, really loves it because he doesn't feel like he's manipulating people. He's really providing value to people, and if there's no value there, then there's no sale. So he's also focused on having lifetime customers versus just like getting that one sale type thing. And so, but whenever he was selling websites, like marketing websites for this guy, the main guy he was working with was totally consultative selling, totally old school way of doing things. Like he went to a company, and it was an air filter company, and they wanted them to develop a brand new website for him. And it comes to him, and the filter company says, we spent a whole lot on our website beforehand. We spent $7,000 to get a brand new website, and we just needed to do this, 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 and this. And they have a whole list of things they want. So Paul goes to him, and he's like, okay, this is all they want. And so we just need to write up a quote for them, and then we'll go back and present it. Well, his manager, supervisor, boss, whatever, goes and develops this quote with all these other things. And totally blows it out of the water, saying it's going to be like a $25,000 website to do everything that they want. And my husband's like, they spent a lot on their last website, which was $7,000. Why in the world is he thinking that he's going to get this sale?
Yeah.
And so
Hmm.
they take it back to him, and the people end up, waiting a couple of days or maybe even like a week or so, and being like, it's just too much. Like, it's just not going to work because it's just too much. It's going to cost too much. And so the guy goes back, and what does he do? He takes out everything that they want on their website, and he puts in what he feels that they really need for their website and knocks down the price. But it's not even close to like their $7,000 they want. It's still really high, but he's still not giving them what they want because he knows what's best for their company. And we found that to be very, very interesting. They didn't go with him. They were like, nope, we're out. I mean, but they did come back to him to do some other stuff to get some more prices for him, like quotes and to see like how much it would cost to do different flyers or other design type things. But they still never went with him because he keeps thinking that he knows what's best for people's companies instead of giving the companies what they want. And that's
it's a turnoff.
Yeah, and that's consultative-based selling. And a lot of people are used to that. And so they don't know the difference. They don't know that there's a better way to be out there. So a lot of people will be like, well, I can't be a salesman because they're trying to sell the old way. But there's better ways out there, which I didn't know there was. I didn't know the difference until like hearing that at the sales training going, oh, no wonder. I'm learning a bunch of different stuff. It's fun. So from my understanding of what consultative-based selling is, I would say they need to have a different sales process. That's my suggestion.
Mhm.
Okay, well, it says here, like, how well is the sales funnel at RentJuice working? And what do you think we already did that one. And how could they reduce their customer acquisition costs? So there is that. I was also thinking that they might try doing networking events because those are usually low cost, and a lot of mortgage people go to networking events because we have mortgage people at ours, and brokers and realtors. And I know that they have like almost like conventions or community events. They might be able to hit some of those to be able to actually get in the door to talk to some of them.
Yeah.
And word of mouth can be really powerful.
Yeah. That was the other thing that was saying in my little infographic. I'll have to email it to you guys because I thought it was really interesting. It was saying that people are more trusting of word of mouth referrals than what they read online, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll gain more customers if you go through referrals than if you just blast information out through a website.
Makes sense.
I believe it.
Which I would think that you could do both, but you might focus more of your attention on the word of mouth sales. Doing really good work for your current customers so that they could go and be your cheerleaders to promote your business. So last question is, how should Vivero respond to the new competition? Should he list all options you can think of? Oh, we need to list all options we can think of. We need to list our pros and cons of each option. And then as a group, we need to decide on our course of action. So how should he respond to the new competition? What options do we think he has? He needs to get busy doing his end. And build
I think he needs to continue working on improving his landlord side and really get his name out there and make it so it's a feasible product, because the longer he waits before he gets something out there, then the bigger they're going to grow and the less customer base he might have because of it.
I agree.
Well, I also imagine that if they found out about the other company now knows about RentJuice. So they may be
Yeah.
the same thought of, oh my gosh, we got to ramp up our work. Like we got to go.
Hmm.
Like we got to talk to more people, or they might even be trying to figure out. Well, what RentJuice could probably do is they could probably go in and look at their subscription to find out, on their end, what do they feel is the benefits of their side versus RentJuice, to be like, okay, how do we compete? Are we really better in any particular areas, or are they better in any particular areas? So they might even go
Yeah,
into like a monthly subscription to test it out. That might be
I
cheap.
think they just need to figure out what they want to do and just kind of stick to it and be the best at whatever they're trying to achieve versus getting so distracted. It seems like they just kind of go with, I don't know, it seems like they kind of have ADD, like they're kind of going like a customer suggests they do this, so they do it, and they go here and there, and they can't figure out their sales. And it seems like they're kind of all over the place. They just need to figure out something and do it well.
That's true.
They might also try getting, they were taking suggestions on what brokers or mortgage lenders or like agents or whatever, like what they wanted in the service, and they were trying to build that, but then they were trying to break away from that a little bit and just try and focus on what they had. So what they might do, I mean, have they done a beta?
Yeah, they have one out that people are using.
Okay. So, but I mean, is this their beta or their no? They've probably fully launched because they've been getting customers. So
Yeah.
because I was just thinking, if they had their beta, then they'd be able to really figure out what stuff works and what stuff doesn't work, and so that they can really focus on the main points instead of, like you were saying, constantly adding. They can just develop what they have. So, okay, so the options we thought of is they just need to go forward, and if they don't go forward, they're gonna get taken over. Because I doubt the other company is gonna be like, oh, they're doing that thing, so we're not gonna continue growing.
We give up.
Yes, I'm not gonna surrender because they found out there's other competition. So I guess as a group, what do we decide they should do?
Well, just keep going and trying to, like Matt said, be the best at what they're doing, and I don't know.
I had a thought. Do you think that if they can figure out where they excel the most and kind of like a niche, like their niche, I mean, it's not really niche market, but like what separates them, maybe they need to figure out what separates them from any competition, and they can kind of promote that. Like, is their user interface really easy? Is it a really, user-friendly website? Is that their benefit?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or is their benefit that they can, like they had that one-click thing where you can go and broadcast it out to all your websites? Is that their special feature? I mean, if they can figure out what sets them apart from their competition, then that might be their main driver to be like, well, we do this. So if anybody else can do it, then you might go with them. But we do this and we do it for this price.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like? So
I agree.
That's a good point.
So, okay, so I guess as our course of action, I don't know, is this summertime? Pretty much.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. So, in summary, we, let's see here. We feel like they could take money, but if they take the money, they need to know exactly what they're going to do with it instead of just accepting it and just spending it on whatever they feel like. Is that agreeable?
Agreed.
Okay. And if they don't know where they're going to spend it, then they shouldn't take it because they're going to have to pay it back again later. But their customer acquisition cost is really high, and so they need to figure out a better way of lowering that cost, because it takes them a lot of time and money because they're paying all those employees to make all the calls, and it just takes a lot of effort to get that one customer. So they need to somehow reduce that, whether it be taking out the juniors and just having the juniors also do presentations, even if it's a mini presentation, and then having the seniors do the same thing. Like they could probably have everybody doing calls and not just have the juniors doing calls. And then as a group, we decide that they need to figure out what works best for them and develop that to the best of their ability at that time. I mean, they're going to always be improving, but they need to focus on making it better for what they have and figure out what is their special feature, how do they make life easier or whatever for the brokers or the mortgage people or the renters, and they need to focus on that and develop that instead of getting distracted by competition and what the competition's doing. And they just need to do more of what they're doing and make what they have better. So, did I miss anything?
I don't think so. Sounds good.
Okay. Well, I will go and stop the broadcast.